Morning, welcome to the video. So it's Tuesday the 25th day, so you may have noticed I didn't put a video out last week. I did actually do a lot of filming for the week, but then by the end of the week a few things happened and in the end I just didn't get around to it. I might use that footage at another point as and when required, but you know, I think it is what it is. So anyway, as I say, it's Tuesday today. Didn't do any physical work, I suppose. Yesterday did get a load of machinery serviced and get it to its rightful places, etc. Purely because on Sunday afternoon the amount of rain that came through and then came through all night plus Monday morning, although Monday afternoon actually was a pretty good afternoon, the lawns were sodden, and at this time of year I'm either mowing or I'm spraying iron, and I don't want to do any of those things if there's puddles on the ground. So it was a great opportunity to do some of that servicing that I still had to do. So got that done, and now we're out predominantly spraying, but we might be cutting a couple of lawns as well, depending on whether they're dry enough. Looks as though the rain's passed that came through last night, and it should be dry for the rest of the day. So even if those ones we mow are this afternoon, it might make a bit of a difference. So anyway, we've got a new client today. I think you may have seen when I was doing the quote 2 weeks ago maybe. So that's a big lawn, that's going to be a big iron treatment. So you might recognise this garden from, as I say, I think 2 weeks ago. We've got the Even Spray Professional 50 litre out today. This is the second time I've used it actually. So I've probably been on site for about half an hour. Already had the stuff mixed up, and in that time I've got that whole lawn done in I don't know, 15 minutes, probably less actually, probably 10, that whole area. Had probably 30 litres in the tank, and yeah, got that done in one hit, so that was perfect. And then I had to pop a wheelie. If you know the machine, you know that as you get to sort of the end of the tank, you have to, if you pop a wheelie, you can get a bit more out. So I've got this done. So, you know, while I'm doing the rest, hopefully this will start showing signs of turning. What you'll notice, I've gone old school, so I don't have belt markers. So what I have got, and this is what we used to do when our belt markers weren't working, is just a bit of chain on a rope, and it just leaves some lines in the dew just to see where you've been. It works pretty effectively. It doesn't really leave any lines like what you would think. So yeah, as I say, this is a new property for this year. So we'll try and get this improved a little bit. Obviously that bit always takes a hammering, but there you go. So I need to spray this bit. You can see where it was sprayed a little bit just before winter. But yeah, we'll do it again, and then we'll be looking to rip it all out in about a month's time and give it a scarifying of a lifetime. Okay, so I finished with the push sprayer. Now the push sprayer is great because it's so quick, but obviously when you're in gardens it's quite difficult because there's lots of sort of nooks and crannies that you kind of can't get into. And an example of that is these stepping stones. You don't want to spray them, so you can kind of, obviously you can spray along the line up there, and you can take a line along this side, but in between and things like that, it's just easier to get the nozzle and then just give it sort of a bit of that kind of action there, just to particularly like these little bits here, because you want to try and get everything, and those stepping stones down there, you want to get everything, but yeah, it is difficult with the larger sprayers. So it's still you know, certainly for gardens it's still a 2 sprayer job, but it has made it a lot quicker, so that's cool. And oh, just need to pick that up. You tend to end up with just barrels all over the garden, so yep. Okay, so we're at the second property of the day now. So this is a cut and an iron. Now a couple of weeks ago sent out all my emails to my existing clients, didn't hear back from this one. However, it was on my route today, so I've just knocked on the door as I was driving past, to a whole look of shock of I forgot to get back to you, didn't I? Don't worry about it. Anyways, crack on. You can see nicely striped, Lots and lots of moss in this lawn. As you can see, sun is there somewhere. So this basically doesn't get any sunlight during the winter. And that is the result. So this is a fortnightly cut. It's not full size, but a decent sized goal in here. So this is used a bit like Wembley. But it's not used like Wembley because it's actually used. So yeah, so we'll treat that with iron. I'm going to use the push sprayer because I've got it. You don't necessarily need to, but I'm just trying a few different nozzles and a few just different options with it, because on the golf course you always had a training or a driving range to practice these bits on. Sometimes you just have to do it on people's lawns, and you're always going to be there and thereabouts. So there's nothing too drastic is going to happen. You may remember this one. This one was probably one of the very first ones of this kind of week in lawn care series. Essentially, the first couple of jobs they ever did here was to sort of level it a little bit, but without going over the top. And then, yeah, seed it, treat it, look after it. Now this one is maintained or cut with the Husqvarna mower. And actually, it does a pretty good job. It's currently turned off at the moment, and that is why, well, because it's winter time, I suppose. Still in February, just. And the grass was looking pretty long. Now, last year, I contacted the client to say I was going to start on my treatments, and I was going to be out doing the iron treatment. And I ended up sending him just like a general message which basically said, and if you were a mowing client, you were going to get your lawn cut as well for a winter tidy up. Now he's just a lawn care client, but he read that, oh, you do the winter tidy up as well. He contacted me to say that the mower was away being serviced, so actually could he get a tidy up cut too? Absolutely, no worries. So that's kind of how it came about. Did that tidy up cut, and yeah, he was really impressed. And then I then showed you the before and afters, etc. of the lawn, and that was kind of really that sort of why the week in lawn care videos started coming, because you know I had video content of lawns before and video contents of them afterwards, after having looked after them for just a little bit, because I was changing location, I was getting all these new clients, whereas when I first started I maybe didn't have as much footage of those jobs at the very start, so it seemed like a good opportunity. However, so that's that. Fed the lawn during the season, and then when I sent the email this year, I said, oh, and just as a reminder, last year you said your mower was away being serviced, so you opted for the tidy up cut. Is that something you'll want again this year? Yeah, absolutely. So there we go. The other thing, and the important thing about this, is because it is cut by a robot mower, if you remember from last time, it means the edges are terrible. So yeah, all the way round you can see where the edges don't get cut at all. So that's definitely one reason to get me in to do that, to tidy that up. Here's another reason why it's good to run a packing mower over, because of course all these leaves are down. So yeah, tidy up is definitely required. The bees are still around doing bee-like things, but it's nothing like when you're here in the summer. Actually, they're really quite active, aren't they? Okay, so there we go. About 5, I don't know, 4:30, 5 o'clock-ish now. Could squeeze another one in, but to be honest, I think it's that sort of thing where the sun is on its way down and it tends to go quicker than you expect it to. So we'll probably leave it there today. So that's 3 mid to large lawns done. Obviously mowing as well, it all takes its time. Just for a second, so there you go, you can kind of see the difference that we've made already, just by laying a stripe and just getting a bit of colour in it. and it's amazing how quick iron is. So yes, let's hope we get a night of no rain, because we've got plenty more iron treatments to go. Okay, so it's Wednesday, so they don't want rain today, so it's not raining now. I used the spray yesterday, probably got the pedestrian sprayer, probably got more than enough battery in there, but not 100% sure. So as it's all wet, it's strapped into the van, etc. What I'm going to do is leave it there. Then we're just going to run an extension lead into the back to plug it in. I can just plug it in and just give it a little bit of extra charge before I go to work. At about 8 o'clock, just after, we have a massive band of rain coming through, which leaves us around midday. So rain's here then. So why it's completely tipping down, what I thought I'd do is I'd just show you what I do with my specific iron sprayers. Now, I've always done the same thing. At the end of sort of the iron season, if you like, I then got the Stihl battery knapsack sprayer, and that was once the sort of the iron season had come to an end. And this is brilliant. It's the best sprayer I've ever had. However, the little nozzle you can see just down there on the left-hand side, that's like the filter, and just it's really beginning to struggle to. And it did work fine, so I just think it's just a big build-up. Now I'm thinking of putting a little bit of tights just over the top of that, and then cable tying it at the bottom, maybe to help. But all the iron I'd put through in the last year has been at a half rate. It's what I would use for red thread, or just to give the lawn a bit of colour or something like that. During the winter, this time of season, I'm going for a full rate. I've done a full video on this, so watch that to see exactly how much I put down. But I think there's just too much stuff in here. So what I'm going to do is, I can't waste any more time with this right now, but I do need a knapsack for the smaller lawns and for the little bits in between. So we're going to go old school, and that involves one of these. This is like just over 20 quid from Screwfix. You can get it from Toolstation, you can get it from anywhere really, and it's your most basic knapsack sprayer they do, because this is iron, and iron is only going to corrode it and ruin it and do everything to it. So what I'll do is I'll just put it together as you normally would, and then what I'll do is I'll show you how I make it different and how I make it better. Very simple to put this together. Simply here, you just put this on here, a little washer and an R clip. So that what happens is, and then you push this through here, and then that goes up and down like that. Pump action. Now, before we do the top bit, we're just going to disconnect this. Okay, so essentially what happens is the water's all in the tank, and it all sort of fills in, gets sucked in here, and then and then it gets pumped up and down, and then that goes out the lance of the nozzle. So before we do that, just going to check it, we've got everything out, and then basically an old pair of tights, cut the leg off. And just put this through here, up here like so, and I'm just going to push it through, put it down, and then there we go, job done. So that will just act as a filter for any granules that are just haven't quite sort of dissolved in the water as much as what you would like. Okay, so once that's done, push it right the way through. Sometimes it doesn't go quite the way through, So in the instructions it says to go sort of right through like that. Sometimes it doesn't quite fit, so that's okay. So all you do here is just stick it through, and then there we go. Like that. So essentially it's all working. So that's that. Of course, then also what we need to do is this nozzle actually looks a bit different to the usual ones. So I don't quite know what the deal is with that. So I need to get that off somehow. There's a little rubber washer in there. So we need to make sure that we keep that and we keep that intact. So I'm just going to put that up there. If I forget where it is, it's up there, okay? So essentially, this is a bit new and it's sort of locked in, so I might just have to break that off. Now, if we were doing spot treatments, it wouldn't matter, because spot treatments, it doesn't matter how it comes out. When you're doing iron and any misfits will really stand out sort of like a sore thumb, you need something like this, like a deflector or something which is going to send it out flat. So it doesn't necessarily need to be a deflector, but it can't be something that's going to send a sort of a round pattern out. So I've just got to work out how to break this, and then we'll take it from there. It looks like it's got threads on it. Oh, there we go. So we can take that out. To be honest with you, they always come with little bits and stuff. I always just throw them away. So what I will do is, this is a used nozzle, but it's still in good condition. So you just push that through and it makes sure that it fits perfectly, which it does. It was up there, wasn't it? Little rubber washer in, and then just tighten this up like so. And then now obviously like that, it's going to be deflecting it back at me. So just need to sort of loosen it. Now you'll notice I'm not wearing gloves, but this is brand new, so I don't need to. And even when I test it, it's only going to be water going through. So there we go, something like that. So you want it kind of finger tight, and there you go. The other thing that you need to think about, these straps have got better over the years. However, these straps here will not last very long, and they're rubbish. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut them off. We're going to get a bit of insulation, so we'll probably only need about that much. It's not precise science. Offer it up to the next one just so it's roughly the same size. Now remember, if you're doing this at home, ask an adult. If you're not allowed to use sharp objects. Okay, and then all we're going to do is put that on there. Now this is great because as it wears out, you can just add to it, you can just take it away, and that is a hell of a lot more comfier. So now we've done that, all we're going to do so this will not withstand kind of what you need from it. So the duct tape on its own, like that, this will cut through really quickly. So all we're going to do is now bind it all together with a bit of duct tape, and then round and round and round, and then that is just going to hold, and that will do a season comfortably. Now you got to think, this was £22 each ish. This was not even a quid. So for well under 25 quid, I've got a setup which is perfect for spraying iron, and you can spray anything in it. You know, it doesn't have to be iron. It's just what I found, that this never ever blocks. doing it like this. So for under 25 quid to get a knapsack sprayer which is one, comfortable and never blocks is unbelievable. I am aware there are products out there that don't block, but sulfate of iron is the cheapest thing going. So profit wise, this is the way to do it. And we're going to do that on the other side. What I did have a think about is actually I might just bind that onto that now, just for that extra little bit of comfort. So there we go, that's pretty much what it looks like. There we go. Now what I'll just show you, I'll just compare it to this one, which I think is about, to this one, which is about 2 or 3 years old, I think. You can see very different colours. I could just tell on this one everything was beginning to wear out on it. Pumping it was becoming a bit more of a struggle. Everything was just worn on it, as I say. But this did 2 or 3 seasons. So it's always good to freshen it up. And as I say, for just over 20 quid, it's not too bad. But I'll just show you here. You know, the straps were beginning to fall apart now, but you know, they held together quite nicely. So yeah, it's just a cheap and cheerful way of doing something which eventually is going to corrode and break anyway. And of course, one other way to help prevent any build-up and blocking is to use sort of the rest of the tights in your funnel, particularly when you've mixed it up and you're pouring it into your jerry can or whatever. But also on these little filters here is just to get, you don't need the full length of the tights, but just something in here just to help, and that can just sit there now, and that doesn't need to come out. That can just sit in there like that, and now you've got the I think it's the double Dutch approach, right? So the rain said it was going to clear at 12 o'clock. So let's see if it did, or is going to. It seems to be calming down now. So it's about 12 o'clock now, and yeah, we're certainly getting to the end of it. So as predicted, the sun is now out. It's about 2 o'clock. Probably finished raining at about 1, so maybe an hour after it was due. But the problem is the ground is just sodden. It's always one thing, it's too wet, it's too dry, it's too cold, too hot. So anyway, I didn't show this last week, but does that help? So we've got some apple trees that are pretty out of control, to be honest. So at the client's request, give them a real harsh cutback. So it's what it is. So as I say, that was in last week's video, which I didn't put out. I might use footage of it, who knows. So anyway, that's it. So what I'm going to try and do is go to these 2 lawn care jobs now, and hopefully, as long as there's not any standing water, it should be fine. So yeah, there's only one way to find out. It's not an ideal day, but you know, like I've just done one of those trees, the one I didn't have time for last week. So either you tick these jobs off or you leave them. What I don't want to do is leave all these sort of winter jobs and stuff like that open, and then all of a sudden the season, you know, the weather is working in our favour and we've got to kick on with that. And then you've got phone calls of, you know, at the moment it's obvious that you're not in because of the weather. But when you start cracking on with the lawn care season and people are wondering why you've not finished one tree or this, that and the other, it's a bit harder to explain. So yeah, getting all this stuff ticked off in the rain is much better than leaving it. But it's meant I've travelled quite far for really an hour, but it's as I say, at some point you've just got to get this stuff ticked off. Okay, so I can't remember if I showed you this one, so I mean, there's not much to spray in the back. So this was turfed last autumn. This is what's left. Okay, we've had a lot of rain today and over the last couple of days, but look at this. You can still see the lines of the turf. This is there's something else going on here, isn't there? Answers on the back of a postcard, I guess. Okay, so I think when I was here last, this was completely frozen and white. So this was the quote. So I've just sprayed this with iron. There we go. You can just see it's in desperate need of a bit of a feed. But we're going to be top dressing this and overseeding the whole area just to sort of thicken it out. It looks pretty lush, but it's actually quite sparse in places. So it's Thursday. We are at you probably recognise. So we're going to cut the lawn, first cut of the year, I think it is. Get some stripes in and then spray with iron. I'll show you the back when I'm out there. I've just whizzed around with a strimmer. So yeah, little leaf clearance just to get everything in the centre. And then we'll hoover those bits of leaves up, but you know, we did an extensive autumn clean-up, so there's not too much out the front certainly. At the back there's a little bit of stuff kicking about, but again, the tractor suck that up when we mow, and then we've got our mowing kind of iron set up, so you know, for the edges and the around the paving stones and stuff we'll use the knapsack, but for the main big areas we can probably just get that out. And then once we're done, we're just going to go next door to that house there and repeat the process. Okay, so it's midday now, so I've got all the lawn cut, as you can see behind me, and the back as well. So also got the irons treatment down, so you can see it kicking in now, darkening up the moss. As I say, this lawn, as you can see, there's the light, there's the dark. This, it really doesn't get any light at all, so it is just mossy. It's very compacted. Over the years I've decompacted it with hollow tine aeration, and it's a hell of a lot better than what it was. But a shady compacted lawn is always going to be a mossy lawn without really digging it up and everything else. But you know, that's, the client sees this out their window and they're happy with that, so we go with it. Morning. So it's Friday and it's it was -2, it's now 0, and everything's pretty frozen. So I've dropped everybody off where they need to be dropped off at. It's 8 o'clock, and as I say, it is all the lawns are still frozen, which is fine. So today is a day of iron treatments for lots of little local lawns really. So the plan is now, while the ground's frozen, is to get everything mixed up. I won't need the pedestrian sprayer today, so we'll get that out. Just if there's any dregs in there, we'll get that out, get that reused, get it cleaned off. I'll need it again next week, but because it's had such high volumes of iron in there, I really want to get everything washed off and get it out, so it just tries to prevent any corroding, which can happen. So yeah, so yesterday, first one, got that all cut, got that all sprayed. Second job, got that all cut and the front sprayed, and then I ran out completely of iron, and by the time I'd mixed up enough to do the back garden, I would have run out of time because I need to get back for pickups. However, I'm back in that road on Monday, so I will do the back then, which is fine. There's no issues there. So yes, so that's that. So we'll get some mixed up, might get a chance to answer some emails, etc, and then we'll see where we're at. So with most frozen mornings, it always ends up being a bit sunny. So got the first two done, smashed them out, really small lawns. I mean, I put 10 litres in the knapsack before I left, and I've still got a little bit in there now. Now this lawn, I've shown you this loads and loads of times. These clients, they completely landscaped the garden, front and back, I think. Did all the patio, nice, really kind of like light porcelain. They then turfed the lawn, and then they fed it with an iron treatment and stained all the patio. They learnt their lesson. They spent a long time scrubbing it and cleaning it, and they've got it back spotless. And then decided that maybe they should get a professional to do it. from now on. So with that in mind, I'm not making the same mistake. So it's one of those ones where I wear trainers up to the lawn. I then take a ton bag, place it down as my mat. I then put my wellies on, I spray the lawn, and I then put my trainers on and then walk back. Just making a little sort of like a buffer zone so that I don't risk walking it anywhere. Just being ultra careful, really. Okay, so this property was, or this lawn was turfed last springtime, I think, not by me. And this is this is it coming out of the winter. So it's basically effect of the shade, the wetness. It's not loving it. And that's just moss, isn't it? This was, as I say, this was brand new turf, less than a year ago. Okay, so we've got a new one. Oh, I say a new one. It's I took it on last year. Brand new patio, only just laid. So we do not want to be, although they've had a good go at trying to scratch it and stain it and stuff, we don't want to be putting iron on it. So I've got my trusty trainers, and we will, yeah, change it, do the one over in the distance, change our feet, change our shoes over, and then come over to this one. And even just to get out of here, I might do it. Okay, so there we go, another week over. So it's been a really good day today. Even managed to pop home for some lunch in between jobs. Sunshine's been out. It's yeah, it's been brilliant. What I have done is, when I got back, is having used the sprayer for a week now with iron and stuff, I just gave it a real good cleaning out. Took the filter out, which is in here, took the filter out. There's still lots of bits of plastic and stuff being sucked through the system. I've got a photo somewhere. I'll see if it's still on my phone, of the amount of rubbish that was sort of floating around in the tank. I got that cleaned out, put some fresh water in it, blasted it through, really turned the pressure up to get any sort of remaining rubbish out. So hopefully on Monday, when I need it, it's going to be in great condition to go again. So a little bit more lawn care in this video, so hope you enjoyed it, and I shall see you in the next one.